In the middle of the North Atlantic, where the warm currents of the Gulf Stream meet the icy breath of the Arctic, lies a world that seems to have been forgotten by time. They are 18 jagged fragments of a continent adrift, a place where the mountains are tiered like ancient temples and the ocean is never more than 3 miles away. This is a land of contradictions. It is harsh, yet undeniably beautiful. It is isolated, yet deeply connected. It is a place where the sheep outnumber the people and where the weather dictates every breath you take. They call it the land of maybe, Kanska, because here nothing is certain. The sun may shine for a moment, only to be swallowed by a sudden fog that erases the world. The ferry may sail or it may not. Nature is the only true ruler here. Welcome to the Faroe Islands. Over the next hour, we will journey through these basalt fortresses, uncovering a history written in the sagas of Vikings, a culture preserved through the rhythm of a dance, and a people who have mastered the art of survival on the edge of the world. To understand the Faroese soul, one must first understand the ground beneath their feet. These islands are not merely rocks in the ocean, they are the scars of a violent birth. Some 55 million years ago during the Paleogene period, the continents of Europe and Greenland began to tear apart. The North Atlantic opened its maw, and from the deep fissures of the earth, lava poured forth. For millennia, volcanoes erupted layer upon layer, building a colossal basalt plateau. You can see this history written on the faces of the mountains today. Horizontal bands of black basalt alternating with softer layers of red tuff, like the pages of a stone book. But fire was only the architect. Ice was the sculptor. During the last ice age, massive glaciers weighed down upon this plateau, carving out the deep fjords, the hanging valleys, and the sharp, pyramidal peaks that pierce the sky today. The result is a landscape of vertical drama. The cliffs at Enneberg on Vidoy rise nearly 754 meters straight out of the sea, some of the highest sea cliffs in the world. When you stand at the edge, looking down at the birds wheeling in the abyss below, you are witnessing a battle between stone and sea that has raged for eons. But the geology dictates more than just the view. It dictates the life. The soil is thin and fragile. Trees struggle to take root against the relentless salt winds. Instead, the islands are carpeted in a velvet green moss and hardy grass, a monochromatic masterpiece broken only by the gray of the rock and the white of the surf. Who were the first to brave these treacherous waters? History whispers of Irish monks, hermits seeking a desert in the ocean, who arrived as early as the 6th century. They brought with them sheep and a desire for solitude, but their peace was short-lived. In the 9th century, the sails of the Norsemen appeared on the horizon. The Faroe saga, the saga of the Faroe Islanders, tells us of Grimur Kamban. Though his name Kamban suggests a Celtic influence, perhaps a nickname meaning crooked, he is hailed as the first Norse settler. He was followed by others, Vikings fleeing the tyranny of King Harald Fairhair in Norway, seeking freedom on these remote rocks. They brought with them their language, Old Norse, which over a millennium of isolation evolved into Faroese. It is a linguistic miracle that this language survived at all. For centuries, Danish was the language of the church, the law, and the school. Faroese was the language of the hearth, the field, and the boat. It was preserved not in books, but in the mouths of the people. You can feel the Viking legacy most strongly in Kirkjubur, the historic heart of the islands. Here stands the ruin of the Magnus Cathedral, a Gothic ambition that was never finished, open to the sky. Nearby is the Kirkjubjargardur, one of the oldest inhabited wooden houses in the world, where the Patterson family has lived for 17 generations. The walls here are made of driftwood and timber, floated across the ocean from Siberia or North America, precious gifts from the sea in a treeless land. The very name Faroe is believed to mean Sheep Islands, and it is a fitting title. There are roughly 80,000 sheep here, nearly double the human population. They are everywhere, grazing on the roadside, perched on impossibly steep cliffs where no human would dare to tread, and staring blankly at passing cars. These sheep are a unique breed, hardy and small, with a wool that is rich in lanolin, making it water repellent, a necessity in a climate where it rains 300 days a year. For centuries, wool was the island's gold. It was the currency of trade. The iconic Faroe sweater, with its intricate patterns and silver buttons, is not just a fashion statement, it is a piece of survival gear. But the sheep provide more than warmth. They provide the taste of the Faroes. If you walk through any village, Torshav or tiny Gjög, you will see small wooden sheds with slatted sides. These are Jalur. Inside, legs of lamb hang from the rafters, exposed to the cool, salty wind. This is the art of rest. It is fermentation, but it is unlike anything else in the culinary world. The Faroese do not salt their meat heavily. They let the air cure it. The specific humidity, the salt in the wind, and the temperature of the islands create a unique bacterial environment. The meat ferments, developing a strong, umami-rich flavor that some compare to aged cheese or truffles. It is a taste acquired by birthright. To an outsider, rast is a challenge. To a Faroese, it is the taste of home. If the sheep rule the green slopes, the seabirds rule the cliffs. Nowhere is this more evident than on the westernmost island of Mykonos. To get here is an adventure in itself, requiring a helicopter ride or a ferry that battles the formidable currents of the Atlantic. In the summer months, Mykonos transforms into one of the busiest airports in the world, but the passengers are feathered. This is the kingdom of the Atlantic puffin. With their clown-like beaks and soulful eyes, they burrow into the grassy hillsides by the thousands. They are clumsy on land, waddling with a comic gait, but underwater, they fly with the grace of torpedoes. Walking the ridge toward the Mykonosholmur lighthouse is like walking through a nature documentary. The air is thick with the smell of guano and the sound of flapping wings. Above the northern gannets patrol, they are the largest seabirds in the North Atlantic, with a wingspan of 2 meters. They hunt by folding their wings back and diving from great heights, hitting the water at speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour, striking fish with deadly precision. But this abundance is fragile. Climate change and shifting food sources are affecting bird populations. The sand eels that the puffins feed their chicks are moving further north as the ocean warms. The Faroese, who once hunted these birds for survival, catching them in nets on the cliffs, are now their guardians, watching the colonies with anxious eyes, hoping the parrots of the sea will return next year. For most of their history, the Faroese lived in profound isolation. Villages were separated by treacherous mountains. To visit a neighbor in the next valley meant a grueling hike over a mountain pass or a risky rowboat journey. Take Gassadalur. For centuries, this tiny village on Vagar was cut off from the world. The only way in was to hike the Postman's Path, a steep, winding trail over the mountain. The village sat on the edge of a cliff, where the breathtaking Mulafossur waterfall plunges straight into the ocean. It was a prison of beauty. Then, in 2004, everything changed. Explosions echoed through the rock, and a tunnel was bored through the mountain. Suddenly, Gassadalur was connected. A drive that was once impossible became a matter of minutes. This is the modern story of the Faroes, the conquest of geography. The archipelago is now stitched together by a world-class network of tunnels. They have bored through mountains and dove beneath the fjords. The Eysturoyartunnilin, opened in 2020, is an engineering marvel. An 11-kilometer subsea tunnel featuring the world's first undersea roundabout. It glows with ethereal blue and green lights. An installation by Faroese artist Trondur Patterson, mimicking a dance of elves beneath the crushing weight of the Atlantic. These tunnels have transformed society. They have stopped the depopulation of remote villages, allowing people to live in the quiet of the fjords while working in the capital, Tórshavn. They have turned a scattered collection of islands into a cohesive nation. Look at a map of the Faroes, and you will see that the land is merely a frame for the water. The ocean is not just a neighbor, it is the lifeblood. Fishing accounts for 90 to 95% of the island's exports. The Faroese are masters of the sea. Their trawlers roam the North Atlantic, chasing mackerel, herring, and cod. But in recent decades, a new industry has risen: aquaculture. In the sheltered fjords, you will see the circular rings of salmon farms. The cool, steady temperature of the water and the strong currents that constantly refresh the oxygen make this the perfect environment for Atlantic salmon. Faroese salmon is prized by sushi chefs from Tokyo to New York for its fat content and purity. But the harvest of the sea brings us to the most controversial chapter of Faroese life: the grindadrop, the pilot whale hunt. For the outside world, the images are shocking. A bay turning red with blood, the thrashing of whales, the glint of knives. It has been condemned by animal rights groups and governments. But for the Faroese, the grind is not a sport, nor is it commercial. You cannot buy whale meat in a supermarket. It is a communal event, dating back to the Vikings. When a pod of pilot whales is spotted, a signal goes out. Boats gather to drive the pod onto a designated beach. The killing is regulated by law, intended to be as fast as possible. The meat and blubber are then divided equally among the community, free of charge. In a place where no grain grows, this source of protein was once the difference between life and death. Today, the debate rages internally too. Is it still necessary in a modern world? Mercury levels in the meat are rising due to global ocean pollution. The younger generation wrestles with the weight of tradition versus the pressure of the modern world. It is a complex, bloody, and deeply misunderstood aspect of life on the edge. If you visit Tórshavn in late July, during Olavsøka, St. Olaf's Day, you will hear a sound that rises from the depths of history. It is the sound of feet stamping a rhythm and hundreds of voices singing in unison. There are no instruments, no drums, no violins, only the voice and the beat of the step. This is the Faroese chain dance. In the rest of Europe, the medieval ring dances died out centuries ago. But here, protected by the ocean, the tradition survived. The dancers link arms, forming a living circle that winds through the room. They sing the kavadi, the ancient ballads. Some of these songs have hundreds of verses, telling stories of Charlemagne, of Sigurd the Dragon Slayer, of trolls and giants. The skipper leads the song, singing the verse, and the crowd roars back the chorus. The dance is hypnotic. 2 steps to the left, 1 to the right. As the drama of the ballad intensifies, a battle rages or a hero dies, the grip of the hands tightens, the stamping grows louder, and the room seems to pulse with a single heartbeat. It was this dance that saved the language. When writing Faroese was forbidden or forgotten, the history was stored in the memory of the dancers. It is a poignant reminder that culture is not something you watch. It is something you do, something you participate in. Today, the Faroe Islands stand at a crossroads. The land of maybe is no longer a secret. The world has discovered its raw beauty. Tourism is growing, bringing much-needed diversity to the economy, but also new challenges. How many hikers can the fragile moss withstand? How many drones can buzz over the puffin colonies before the magic is lost? The Faroese are navigating this new reality with characteristic pragmatism. They have introduced closed-for-maintenance days where tourists can only visit if they volunteer to help repair paths and fences. They are determined to avoid the fate of other over-touristed destinations. Modern Faroese society is vibrant. It has a Michelin-starred restaurant, Cox, which serves things like sea urchin and fermented lamb in a thatched roof farmhouse. It has a thriving music scene, producing artists like Aver, whose voice carries the raw power of the Atlantic storms. The young people who leave for Copenhagen or London to study are increasingly coming back. They return for the safety, the community, and the profound connection to nature that cannot be found in the concrete jungles of the continent. The Faroe Islands are small, mere specks on the globe, but their story is vast. It is a story of resilience. It is a testament to the human ability to find a home in the most unlikely of places. Here, the mountains teach you humility, the ocean teaches you respect, and the fog teaches you patience. As the sun sets over the jagged silhouette of Tindholmer, painting the sky in violet and fire, you realize that the land of maybe offers something the modern world has largely lost: certainty. Not the certainty of schedules or plans, but the certainty of nature's power, the certainty of community, the certainty that no matter how hard the wind blows, these rocks and these people will endure. This is the Faroe Islands. A place where you don't just watch the weather, you live it. A place where the silence is loud and the isolation is a gift.